Art can mean different things to different people. For me, it's all about the joy of creativity. So if you draw, paint, write, dance, sing, craft, play air guitar, or even sculpt using nothing more than mashed potatoes, consider yourself an artist and join our conversation. For the next half hour, meet the artist and learn about their inspiration while we all enjoy the beauty of creativity. Welcome to Season 2 of Art Talk with John Cole Artist. Well, hey, good evening, everyone. It's John Cole Artist, and I want to thank you guys for tuning in tonight. Tonight, we're going to be talking a little bit about miniature hobby kits. Now, a lot of times people might think of those as doll houses, which they are, but there's also other types of kits that we can build, and it's really a lot of fun. And as you saw in that 30-second or so intro there, you can do some really complicated things with these hobby kits. And I thought it would be really kind of cool to dive into one and see what it comes with, because I think when you're walking through some of the different hobby shops, you might be wondering, well, what exactly is it? How complicated is it? Is it something that I really want to do? So why not talk about it? Well, today is April 9th, so thank you for making it all the way till April. I can't believe this year is going so fast. And I would like to shout out to Nikki Urbanski. She is my stepdaughter, and it's her birthday today. So happy birthday, Nikki. I'm hoping you're having a wonderful day. She was on our show back at the end of February and did a phenomenal job. She's a small business owner, and she deserves all the love in the world. So happy birthday. Christine's on. Hi, Christine. She says, hello, beautiful soul. Well, hello back to you. And also, I want a really big thank you to Bo Kidd. Now, who is Bo Kidd? Well, he's the son of Megan Kidd and Tim Kidd. And Tim, I had on the show at the end of last year. And just to frame this a little bit, a few weeks ago, I was asked to speak to his class at school. And, you know, I went on Zoom, got to speak with these wonderful children and talk a little bit about art and some of the things that I'm doing, because they were going to then go ahead and create some art as part of their class project. Well, I got a surprise in the mail, and I really want to thank him. He sent me Bo's coloring book. Now, why this is so cool, there's a number of reasons why this is so cool. First, he sent me this wonderful message. He wrote, "Dear Mr. John, thank you for talking to my class. We learned so much. I sold all of my books. Love, Bo." Thank you, Bo. This is a wonderful note. But why this coloring book is so cool is because what he did was draw pictures that I can now color, markers, crayons, or anything. And this is such a great idea. And it's not just something kids could do. If you have any interest in doing your own type of art project, maybe a coloring book is something to think about. So again, Bo, thank you so much for this. I think it's phenomenally sweet of you to send this, and I wish you the best of luck moving forward with some of your other artistic projects through school. So you've got a lot of talent, so hopefully you'll keep going down that road. Any other announcements before I get going? Oh, yeah, my book, the book that I've been writing with Allison Roberts' support, will be coming out at the beginning of May, and I'm super excited about this because instead of writing a chapter in a book like I've done the previous 2 years, this book is just mine, and it's a self-help book, and the title is Seeking Permission, Finding the Freedom to Live Your Own Life. Coming out in early May, it's going to be available right off the bat in Kindle format, and then shortly afterwards in printed format. I'm very proud of this book. I took a really deep dive into myself, talk a little bit about how I got from where I was in the military mindset to where I am today, being more of my authentic self and really putting myself out there with things like the podcast and, of course, with the art. So super excited about that. And I'll push more information about that probably in the upcoming days, because that's May is super close since we're already almost to the middle of April. And then lastly, of course, May 16th, I will be presenting at TEDx Lake Charles. So again, super excited about that. I'm in the process right now of taking the speech that I wrote and really committing it to memory so that I can tell my story and so that you folks can walk away with something of value, because I think, again, that's what we all like to do, is bring value into the world of other people. And I know that's something that I've been trying to do for years, and I think successfully on the military side. But now that I'm not in the military, I really want to be able to teach and share and things like that. So super excited. That's May 16th. I think tickets are still available, and it's you can search for TEDx Lake Charles on Google and it will pop up. And if you want to come. If not, hopefully it'll show up on YouTube a few months later, a month or so later. All right. So miniature hobby kits. Let's talk a little bit about that. They come in all shapes and sizes. They come anywhere from small kits where you can build these tiny little things all the way up to really dollhouse size. And I think the best place where you can see those things on display are like Hobby Lobby and even Google, if you do a Google search for that. So the question is, what do they look like? What's in there? And really, what's in it for you? What really is the value of these hobby kits? I think if you hearken back to the 70s and 80s, one of the popular things that boys specifically tended to work on were plastic models, right? Model airplanes, model ships, model cars, and things like this. These miniature hobby kits are almost really the genesis, I think, of those really comes from the hobbyist model world, the aircraft and the cars and the things like that. But what's really nice is that it's not just restricted to boys or girls. This really is something that we all can do, and it's a lot of fun, because although you're putting together something that the pieces perhaps have been made separately, you really are assembling these things, and it does take a lot of effort to put them together, right? Do you have to be artistically inclined? No. Do you have to be able to follow instructions? Well, absolutely. Is it something you can do in a day? No. And I only know that because I've done a couple of these kits now, and they do take some time, but that's part of the fun of it. So let me show you some examples of what these kits look like. So this one here is it's like a mobile trailer camper, and this thing was purchased at Hobby Lobby for only $16.99, so a very inexpensive kit. So this is one example. And here's a slightly larger example. And this is the brand Cutie. And this one here is of a like a greenhouse with a little chair and table out front. And you have everything here from the greenery at the bottom to the actual structure. And then, of course, the see-through glass roofs and stuff like that. So, and then the most latest one that I ran across was at Michael's. And it is this thing here called Sunshine Town. And what's interesting about this is that it takes the idea of these miniature hobby kits and then makes them into something that you can actually slide onto a bookshelf. So it acts, I don't know so much as a bookend, but it's something that really would give your bookshelf a lot more interest, because in between your Shakespeare or your Dan Brown or your, I don't know, Stephen King, you've got this little scene. Now, this particular scene is of a bookshop, and it's got lights in here, and this is the one that I'm currently working on, and I'll show you what the pieces and things look like here in a few moments. So let's go ahead and take a look at one of the kits. So I'm going to go ahead and put on my overview camera, and we'll give it a second for it to connect up, and I think we can see that okay. So let's open up, let's go ahead and do an unboxing here on this kit. So this is the kit that shows the little camper with a cutout view on the side. It's got a little bicycle or something to the right, a croquet set. And then, of course, it's got this other set where looks like a tea set with an umbrella and things like that. So let's see what you get in the box for $17. So I'm going to go ahead and open this thing up, and we'll go ahead and pull out the pieces here. All right, so right away we can see we've got these bags of parts. Okay, and this, of course, looks like it's labeled Bag H, and it looks like we've got all kinds of pastel-colored parts in this bag. This here looks like it's more or less fabric material. It's got some beads. It's got some other little parts in here. My assumption is that when you put it all together, it actually helps develop the scene. And then, of course, on the other side, you can see more of this fabric. It comes with, let's see, this says alcohol, clear glue, and white glue. So 2 different types of glues in this particular set. And then, of course, we have make sure this box doesn't fall. We've got what appears to be silica gel. Do not eat this. Remember, never eat the silica gel. And then it looks like we have this is probably the base that we're going to build on, along with some other laser cut pieces here for our camper. And then lastly, we have, of course, the instructions. Now, if we open up one of these smaller bags, just to take a look at the pieces in here, and I'll keep the instructions out for a second because we'll take a look at those here in a minute. But if we take a look at one of the other ones, let's open up this bad boy just to see what kind of materials we're talking about here. Now, this camper set looks like it comes with, again, this little bag of beads. Okay. It also comes with a LED light set. So this set lights. A lot of these sets have these LED setups, which is really nice because with a couple AA or AAA batteries, you can really make your scene really stand out, right? Especially if you have the lights off, or if anything, it gives them something of interest, visual interest to look at. This looks like a bag that, well, contains a toilet because you can't get on the road and go camping without a toilet, right? Unless you're like me and go to the bathroom in the woods or something like that. So, and these look like they're made out of plastic. And then in this bag here, again, we've got some fabric material, some, looks like material to stuff. So there's probably some kind of chair or bed or something like that we can stuff the material into, some copper wire. So it's really a variety of different pieces in this particular bag. And of course, we'll open up the larger bag here. And these look like they are these look like little wooden pieces that are painted. So these things are already pre-painted. A lot of the kits do come with pre-painted parts, which is really good. Yeah, they're little pieces of wood. So it's actually made out of wood. This is not a plastic thing that we're putting together. It's made out of wood. Some of the other pieces, of course, are plastic, but that's to be expected. That's not to say that you have to stick with the parts that come with the kit. A lot of these hobby shops now sell things of the same scale that you could either swap out or add to your scene. Then, of course, here are some other pieces here that we would be assembling using the glue that came with the kit, according to the instructions. We'll take a look at the instructions real quick to give you an idea of what this would look like. So pardon the crinkling noise. And this, of course, is the instruction book. This is called Take You on a Trip. And what it does is it tells you how to connect up the wiring when you get that far. And it's AAA batteries for this particular kit. It also talks about the contents that are not included, which is interesting, right? Because a lot of these kits, they'll give you the glue to stick the things together. They might even give you some sandpaper. This looks like this kit does give you some sandpaper. That's to, maybe roughen up some of the sides that are already painted so that the glue will stick. And what's not included, this particular kit, is scissors, craft knife, tape, ruler, and things like that. So if you buy a kit like this and you plan on working on it, you might want to, take a look at the kit once you get it home, or hopefully you have some of this material on hand. I think usually people have tape, rulers, scissors, and, majority of the time we have some kind of craft knife or something. And what we're talking about, craft knife, is something like an X-Acto knife, right, with a really small blade on it. And that's so that when we make cuts, we can cut them nice and clean, because sometimes scissors can leave some very ragged edges. And then it goes through and it tells you exactly how to build the model. Okay, so it'll tell you the piece number, it'll tell you the bag number, it'll even tell you, in most cases, where you should put the glue. So it's really very easy to follow. A lot of these things are made in China. So every once in a while, you might run across some funny language. But that's just the nature of the beast when it comes to building some of these models, because a lot of them are crafted overseas and then shipped here. Okay. But if you've ever put together a Lego model, right? Lego, Christine and I, my wife, we're currently building I think it's a Vespa scooter. And that book, just like any of these, contemporary Lego sets are very in depth. Every single piece, every single photograph. It's no different with these kits here. Now, the question would be with this particular kit here, how long do you think it would take to put it together? Well, like I said, I've worked on the big one that we saw right at the beginning, and that probably took at least 2 weeks to put it together. Something of this size here, because again, there's going to have to be some drying time involved. So for example, if you're building the bed, the fabric itself needs to dry once you glue it before you start to assemble other pieces. So a kit of this, if you're spending maybe 2 hours a day, sometimes you end up spending more than that because you really get involved in the project. But if you're looking at about 2 hours a day, you probably could get a small kit like this done maybe in maybe 4 days or so. But it's a really nice craft hobby to do. As a matter of fact, if you have kids, you can have the kids help out as well. So that's also a lot of fun to really get the family involved. Okay. So that's kind of an unboxing of this particular kit. And they get more complicated, right? This bigger kit that I showed you earlier, I'm not going to go ahead and pull out all the parts on this because quite frankly, I have to put them all back in the box, and that's not something I care to do. But if we take a look at this cutie set here, which is this Rose Garden Tea House, I'll just open up the box and just show you. So this one here is slightly different. This has a whole bag of just flowers. And these, believe it or not, are, looks like my camera might have froze. There we go. These, believe it or not, are actually made out of plastic. So this is slightly different. At least I think it's plastic. Or maybe it's wood. No, these are made out of a plastic. So these are cut out of a plastic material. And then, of course, they have the design work for things like doors already imprinted. So everyone's going to be different, though, and that's the thing. As a matter of fact, the glue for this is actually Gorilla Glue, although this might have been something I had to do later. And then, of course, here. So this kit, it's since it is a little bit more complex, would probably take me or you, again, if you're spending 2 hours a day working on this particular craft or hobby, would probably take you 2 weeks, depending on how much time you want to devote to it. Now, if you're one of those people like me where you're really involved in the project and you don't have anything else to, occupy your time, you might get it done a little quicker than that. But again, it's like putting together like a model airplane, or putting together a dollhouse, or working on a crochet project or a sewing project. Sometimes it's kind of nice when they do take a while because it allows you to get your mind off other things and really focus on creating something. Again, you don't need to be an artist to put one of these kits together. All you really need is some patience and a little bit of time, right? Because again, it does take some time to put them together. So let me show you the sunshine towel that I'm working on, just to show you where I am and what this kit. So this is the pieces that came out of the, again, I'll show the box up here. Can't pick nothing up. Okay, so this is the Sunshine Town kit that I'm working on now. And I am putting this together. And what's interesting is that this particular kit isn't a 360-degree view like those other ones that we looked at. This one here is really designed so that when you look at your bookshelf, you're looking down through the scene, which explains why this tree here, okay, is flat, right? Because what's going to end up happening is we're going to build this 3D scene. Like this is the front. So this front will go here. And as we're looking down through the scene with books on either side, we're going to get this 3D view. So what's nice about this as well is it comes with a light battery set. Okay, and this actually has a street lamp as well. So there's a street lamp that's part of the scene. And it has a touch capability. There's got a little sensor right here. So on the front of this, if you just tap this, it will turn on the light, or tap it and turn it off again. And in case you're curious, this was purchased at Michael's. It was $39.99, but just so happened we had a $5 off coupon or something like that, so it was a little bit less. So those are some of the pieces. Now this one's kind of nice too, because there are some thick cardboard pieces. Okay, this printed sheet here with things like railings and gratings, and I think these will probably eventually be carpets or something like that. These are all done in this thick cardboard. So don't shy away from that necessarily, because what these pieces do is they enhance your design. Now, Christine writes, do I have an example of one that I put together? Well, the only one that I have an example of that I have put together is the one that I showed at the top of the program, which is the larger scale dollhouse. That's the one I think that really got me interested in this type of project. Because again, you know, as artists, I think sometimes we struggle with our own creativity. I know I do when it comes to painting, when it comes to watercolors, when it comes to, just creating out of the blue. Sometimes we struggle with that, and it's really nice to have a little bit of diversion sometime, which is a little more structured. So we just follow the steps, and then we can kind of get into this zen-like state. And Michelle, you have two that you want to finish, and one of which is a greenhouse. Yeah, I've seen the greenhouses. They're really, really cute designs. And there really are a whole bunch of different flavors of these things. So I encourage you to keep working on it, because they're really a lot of fun. He says you like the bookshelf kits as well. Have you done a bookshelf kit yet, or is that something you're looking at? Now this kit I like because this is cut right out of wood, and the pieces are all labeled. Most of these kits, the pieces are labeled. Some of the other ones that I saw, they had the piece parts that you have to kind of line up with the pictures in the book. This one also in the instruction book has pictures of what to hook up, but what's nice is each of these pieces is labeled. So what we would do is we would just, carefully remove the piece, use some of the sandpaper to clean up the rough edges a little bit, and then proceed. Okay, she says, not yet, I want to. Well, once I get done with this kit, I'm sure I'll post some pictures, and you can check them out. So far, it's a really well-made kit. And it's nice to have this wood and then the light fixtures as well. It's going to look really nice on a bookshelf once I figure out where I'm going to put it on my bookshelf. But yeah, so all these pieces, it looks like they're all cut using a one of those laser, what are they called? Something forge, laser forge. I don't know. It's something that's becoming more common, where you're actually using a laser to cut the pieces out. But that means everything is perfectly, you can perfectly fit everything together, and everything is nice and smooth. But yeah, it's all made of wood. And what's nice about this as well is that for some of the pieces, there's actually a darker stain wood. So it's a really, really nice kit. And everything so far has been fitting together perfectly. Very little effort in terms of having to clean things up. Again, when you're pulling out some of the wood pieces and even some of the cardboard, you'll take a little sandpaper just to kind of sand down a little bit where these things connected up. That way things fit a lot better. I will say one word regarding these wooden kits, and it's something that I knew about, but I guess I refused to believe it until the time came, and that is this. When you are putting together some of these pieces, and I'll show you this example of this door frame here. I put this door frame together yesterday, okay? And you'll notice that it's got a lighter color, pre-painted. This one was pre-painted. And then, of course, I glued some of these pieces together. Now, the thing is, though, is that they want you to paint the edges, which you can see that I've done, okay? And it doesn't look that bad. But here's the thing when it comes to these wood pieces. If you're going to use the paint that's included, or you're going to use something like acrylic, which is what I ended up using, was acrylic paint on here, just understand that when it comes to wood, you're going to have to put multiple coats of paint on, and that's because the wood is very porous and the paint is very wet. And when you put wet material on a porous material, it soaks in. All right. So what ends up happening is you'll end up putting 2 or 3 coats on. So it's just something to be aware of. It's really not that big of a deal. Acrylic paint dries super fast. As a matter of fact, by the time I got done going all the way around the one side, this side was already dry and I was immediately able to do my second coat. And in some cases, I put a third coat on just because white is one of those colors that just really likes to suck into wood. Okay. So that's what that kit is like. So there are options. Okay. So really my intent tonight was kind of talk a little bit about that. I'm not going to go through and glue any pieces together because that's kind of like watching paint dry sometimes, right? But the key takeaways for this particular episode tonight in terms of these miniature hobby kits is that, first of all, they're not super expensive. The most expensive kit, the big dollhouse kit, which you can kind of see in my corner right here. That's where I have it sitting right now. I don't think that kit was more than $80, which seems like a lot, but keeping in mind that that's a pretty big kit. It's probably 1.5 feet by 1.5 feet. So it's pretty large, multiple stories with multiple parts. That was bought at Hobby Lobby. And they range all the way down to $12 or $13 for smaller kits. But they're so much fun to work on because you're building it, you're constructing it. Yes, the pieces might be cut beforehand, but you're putting them together. And some of these kits, when they give you the option to, make beds or chairs or make these things out of fabric, it's kind of challenging, right? Because if you're like me and you have these big old sausage fingers and you're trying to do it, it makes it kind of a challenge. So it's not easy either. And that's the thing. You've got the instructions. Really, you need the time. And then the real desire to see this thing go from a bunch of pieces in a box to this little construction that you made. And you can modify things, right? You can paint things. You can put wallpaper on walls. I mean, you could go to Michael's and spend, I don't know, $5 or $6 for some scrapbook paper, and you could actually just cut it out with your X-Acto knife or your craft knife, and you could make your own wallpaper. And so you can take these things that you're making and tailor them to the way that you'd like them. And kids can work on them as well. I mean, they do have small parts. So if you have like a 1 or 2 year old, I don't know if I would recommend having them help me. But if they're a little bit older and you want a family project, I definitely would recommend one of these miniature kits. So again, I've seen them at Michael's. I've seen them at Hobby Lobby. You can buy them online. And again, they're not super expensive and they're just so much fun. And Michelle writes, now you have me digging mine out. That's good to hear. That's good to hear. So when I get this one built, I would estimate, given my schedule, this would probably take me 2 weeks, although realistically, it probably should take me a week, but I'm just kind of working on it. I do have a cat. And I'll be honest, if you have a cat that loves you, like my cat loves me, cat loves to sit right here on my desk while I'm doing something. And wouldn't you know it, every time I pick up a paintbrush, she wants some snuggles. So it might take me a little bit longer than normal. But once I get it done, I'll post some pictures up on the website. And you guys are more than welcome to check it out. And if you want any links to things that I recommend, just let me know. You can reach out via email at johncoleartist@gmail.com, or you can just find John Cole Artist on Facebook and drop me a instant message or something like that. I'd be happy to help you out. So if you do have any questions, again, just reach out to me. Now, next week, I will not be having a program. I'm going to be traveling down to Atlanta, Georgia for a training session down there. So I'm not going to be broadcasting next week, but I'll be returning the following week with a special guest. So I hope you enjoyed the program tonight. I look forward to seeing what artwork you guys are doing. Feel free to post them up on the We Are All Artists Facebook page. That's a private group. So if you're interested in joining, go ahead and reach out to me through John Cole Artist. I'd be happy to add you to the group because we got some folks there sharing their artwork. Some really, really good stuff up there. So check that out. And if you are watching or you watch this later on YouTube, feel free to like or subscribe because I really enjoy doing these podcasts, and hopefully you guys are enjoying listening to them. So until I see you again in 2 weeks, keep doing art. Thank you so very much for joining me on the Art Talk podcast, where it's my goal to bring artists together to talk about their craft. If you'd like to join me for a conversation, please reach out via email at johncoleartist@gmail.com or by visiting my website at johnrobertcole.com. So until next time, keep crafting, painting, and inspiring others with your creativity. You make more of an impact than you know. See ya.